Soryn gripped his face, her fingers burning cold. Then we evolve. The spores between them ignited, and the world dissolved into fractal light. Chapter 3. Nexus 7 Detention Block. The spores had eaten through the cell's filters. They spilled from the vents in gossamer threads, gluing themselves to Darian's skin, his lips, the wet corners of his eyes. He didn't brush them away. The bond had become a second pulse, a rhythm beneath his ribs that synced with the colony's death throes. Somewhere beyond the walls, the hybrids howled, a sound like splintering timber, wet and resonant. He wondered if Liren was among them, if her new form remembered the hydroponics bay, the scent of algae and damp soil. Soryn's touch lingered on his face, a phantom frost. We evolve, she had said, but evolution, he had learned, was not a ladder, it was a fall. The door groaned, mycelial threads slithered through its seams, prying the alloy apart like rind. Beyond the corridor was a carnivorous garden. Fungal blooms encrusted the ceiling, their nectar dripping in slow, syrupy strands. Colonists, or their remnants, crawled through the muck, their bodies half-digested into the hive's architecture. A man with fruiting bodies where his hands should be reached for Darian, his mouth a silent pleat in the fungal mass of his face. Darian Rands. The fractal canopy. The grove was unrecognizable. What had once been a sanctuary of indigo caps and shivering threads now churned like a living storm. Spires coiled into the sky, their stalks braided into a single, throbbing column that pierced the clouds. Bioluminescence seethed within it, a green-gold fire that cast no warmth. At its base, Soryn waited. She was fracturing. Cracks splintered her crystalline flesh, leaking black ichor that hissed where it struck the earth. Her eyes, once sharp with fractal precision, swam with unstable light. When she spoke, her voice came in staggered echoes, as though the hive's chorus were drowning her out. You shouldn't have come. Darian stepped over roots that twitched toward his ankles. You asked me to. No, I asked. Her hand rose, trembling to her chest. The hive wants you dead, but I want. The column above them pulsed, vomiting a plume of spores into the atmosphere. Somewhere, Eclipse ships screamed through the stratosphere, their engines scorching trails through the amber haze. Darian didn't need to see the ordnance bays opening to know what came next. They'll glass the colony, he said, you and me with it. Soryn convulsed, ichor spraying from her lips. Then do it, what you humans do best. Destroy. The word hung between them, barbed. Darian's hand found hers, cold, brittle, dying. There's another way. She stared at their intertwined fingers. You don't know what you're asking. Yes, he lied. The column roared. Eclipse warship, Oblivion's edge. The DNA-neutralizing drones fell like silver rain. Darian watched from the canopy's heart as they pierced the atmosphere, their payloads glowing with virulent light. The first wave struck Nexus 7. The colony's mutated spires exploded into ash, the shockwave rippling outward, flattening the fungal forests. The second wave arced toward the canopy. Soryn's laughter was a broken thing, arrogant to the end. Darian didn't flinch as the drones descended. He had seen this in the Bond's fever dreams, the hive's last gambit, buried beneath Viridia's crust. A single, ancient spire, its core a labyrinth of fractal chambers, the myceli's cradle, their tomb. Here, he said, dragging her into the column's seething light. The chamber welcomed them with teeth. The cradle. Flesh unraveled. The chamber was not a place but a process. Walls of pulsating mycelium pressed close, digesting Darian's suit, his skin, the brittle lies he had grafted to his bones. Soryn disintegrated beside him, her form dissolving into threads that braided with his own. There was no pain, only the terrible, tender intimacy of being known. You are afraid, the hive whispered, its voice no longer a chorus but a singularity. Yes, Darian thought. You are alone. No. He reached for Soryn's remnants, not the avatar, but the shadow beneath, the self that had hidden from the hive, the doubt, the want, the name she had never spoken. Zeroth. The chamber stilled. Then it bloomed. Viridia's sky. The blooming fractal rose. It was neither Darian nor Soryn, but the shape of their collision, a being of light and filament, its body a lattice of glowing sinew, its mind a convergence of human fractures and hive resolve. Below, the neutralizing drones froze mid-descent, their engines choked by spore clouds. The Eclipse warship shuddered, its comms flooded with a transmission that was not sound but sensation. Cease, the fractal's voice unspooled across the planet into the marrow of every living thing. Colonists mid-transformation halted, their fungal grafts retracting. Hybrids knelt, their bellows softening to whimpers. High above, the Oblivion's edge hovered, its weapons silent. Aboard the bridge, Admiral Veyl, Darian's estranged father, stared at the fractal's visage on the viewscreen. What are you? The fractal smiled with Darian's grief and Soryn's resolve. Offer, symbiosis, or oblivion. Veyl's hand hovered over the glassing trigger. For a moment, the old hunger flickered, the Eclipse creed carved into his bones. Conquer, consume, control. Then he looked down. Viridia's surface teemed with light. Hybrids and humans, their bodies now threaded with bioluminescent veins, tended to the regrowing forests. The mycelial spires no longer attacked but embraced, their caps unfurling into shelters, their nectar pooling into reservoirs. A child, Lyran's daughter, her eyes still glowing, laughed as a spore settled on her palm, harmless as a snowflake. Veyl's finger fell from the trigger. Epilogue. The fractal watches. Its consciousness stretches across Viridia, root, and synapse, a bridge between hungers. In the hive's depths, Sirath's voice lingers, a shard of self the assimilation could not erase. Darian's memories surface sometimes, the weight of a sidearm, the stink of burning forests, a father's turn back. They fade as all things do into the chorus. Nexus 7 is gone. In its place, a city of flesh and steel rises, its towers grown from mycelial lattices, its streets lined with symbiotic orchids that sing in the dusk. The hybrids, no longer monsters, no longer victims, teach Eclipse survivors to listen to the spores, to feel the planet's breath in their lungs. Admiral Veyl tends a grove now. His hands, once steadied by spite, tremble as he brushes a cap's edge. The fractal does not forgive him, but it remembers. At dawn, the fractal ascends the central spire, its light weaving through the atmosphere. Below, a child waves. Above, the stars blink, indifferent. Somewhere between surrender and becoming, it finds a word, not human, not mycely, but something older. Enough.